Type Podcast.
Here we go. Hello, around the block and around the world. This is where we discuss, debate, and deliberate all things diabetes. Representing type 2, my name is Dobie Maxwell. Representing type 1, the vivacious, effervescent, always in the know, Sami Parker.
Hello, Dobie.
Hey, another episode.
Well, before we jump into it, I just want to announce that this episode is sponsored by Expression Med. They make thin, vibrant CGM tapes with hundreds of design options, and I'm actually wearing one on my Dexcom right now. I'm in love with it. It's lasted the full 10 days, and they let my skin breathe while holding the Dexcom really in place for the full 10 days, which is their goal. So stay tuned through the episode for a special promo code.
And they're also in the highest of fashion, too, as you always are.
Oh, yes. This one's actually tie-dye, and I'm super excited about it. Everybody was like, whoa, that's a cool tape. Where'd you get it? I was like, yeah, I know. I'm just repping it the stylish way, guys.
As Ric Flair, the wrestler, says, styling and profiling. That is what you do.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to get back to basics.
Yes.
If you're new to the podcast, we are thrilled that you're here. We're going to start from square one and define what diabetes is.
It's kind of funny that we didn't do this at the start, but I'm not really opposed to it because now it's like fun going backwards, you know?
Well, any sitcom on TV that starts, any podcast that gets a following, you listen to the early episodes, it's like, well, it's kind of who they are, but it's not what I became a fan of. And that's just natural. I mean, like the early episodes of Seinfeld are nothing like the later ones. Just because they need time to get in the groove. So we're getting in our groove, and today's going to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's very valid. So are you going to take type 2 then? I'm assuming.
I can take type 2, unless you have some other information I don't know about.
We should have taken the opposite. Like, I should have taken type 2 and you should have taken type 1.
I should have married a millionaire and should have won the lottery too, and I didn't do that. So we're going to have to make do.
Hey, Dobie, there's still hope for me.
There's still hope for you to win the lottery?
I'm kidding. I was saying I can marry a millionaire. There's still hope.
You can marry a millionaire, and then I will come to your house and fall on your front porch and sue your whole family.
Great. Sounds amazing.
In a friendly and a customer service kind of a way.
Of course.
So let's talk about type 1 since you have type 1, and I'll talk about type 2.
All right. So I'm going to define type 1 diabetes. And also, some of these definitions are kind of from my head because I learned this stuff in my undergrad degree. So I'm combining definitions here. So type 1 diabetes, it's an autoimmune disease in which the body, or specifically the pancreas, produces little to no insulin. So what can happen is obviously you can be born with diabetes as a young baby, but a lot of times it gets brought about. Honestly, it used to be considered juvenile, and now it can be diagnosed even up to like age 50. So basically your pancreas just kind of dwindles. It stops producing insulin, and then your blood sugars are just high all the time because there's no insulin that's allowing the glucose to go into the cell. So your blood sugar is just like zing, is super high.
That's a medical term, isn't it? Zing?
Yeah, zing.
Doctor, my blood sugar is zinging. Oh my gosh. I think
Dr. Sami, what is it doing? It's going zing.
Zing, zing. That's the shiz.
Yes. So that's type 1. And also, the thing about type 1, though, is it is autoimmune. But what's interesting is you might not necessarily realize it's autoimmune because you might not have family members that have it. And so you're like, how is it autoimmune? But somewhere there has to be basically like on both sides the genetics for you to be able to have type 1. They actually also saw like a rise in people with type 1 diabetes who had COVID, which is crazy.
I did see some statistics about that too.
Yeah. It's like wild. I was like, what? I literally made fun of somebody. I was like, does not even happen. And they were like, no, it's actually real. And then I looked and I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we're going to be studying that one for decades to come, I think.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to give me the type 2 definition?
I'm going to give you the simple definition of type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
It is an impairment in the way the body regulates and uses sugar, glucose, as a fuel. According to the American Diabetes Association, I did some research on this. Type 2 diabetes is a 2-hour plasma glucose level of 200 or higher, or a random plasma glucose of 200. Measurement.
Yes.
It's 200 or above. So don't just think, well, my blood sugar is 675. They said the definition's 200, so I'm not 200.
100 or
You're not shooting for that, so I want to make it clear that it's 200 or over.
Yeah, and with type 2, it's interesting because like type 1, it's specifically your beta cells are not secreting insulin. And so type 2, it's like they are, but the insulin's not able to get in. It's almost like, it's like when you're at Disneyland and you're waiting to get into the gate and everybody's like migrating and you're just like, it's like a herd of people and you just feel like you're there. And you're like, okay, are we ever going to make it through the gate? It's like the insulin. It's like, are we ever going to allow the glucose to get in? And the glucose is like, meh.
Is it like a zing or meh, a zing? I like your words you're inventing. That's really cool.
It helps. It helps to like
Oh, it
visualize.
totally does. Well, the thing is now, 200, if you listen to some other episodes, and we hope you do,
Yes.
because we have guests on, we have some distinguished guests, and we always ask them, what was your blood sugar measurement at your diagnosis and your diagnosis story? So 200 is pretty low. I was 500 at mine, and yours was?
535.
And a lot of our guests have been high too. So 200 is rather low, I think, but that's
Yeah.
the standard for, so that's why we're,
That's a small party. You know, you want that party of like 500 glucose molecules being like, yeah.
that's a lot of sugar, baby.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk about too gestational. So, for those of you that aren't aware, gestational diabetes occurs during pregnancy. And basically, the body cannot produce enough insulin during pregnancy, which results in high blood glucose levels, which is damaging to the baby and damaging to the mom that's actually carrying the child as well. So basically, if you think about it, it's kind of like when you have another human in you, I mean, mind you, some people use this as their excuse. They're like, I'm feeding for two. You're like, I don't think that Snickers bar is what's feeding for two, but okay.
I think the baby likes the peanuts.
Yeah. But
Even though it has no teeth.
yes. So it's a little different, but with gestational, it's like the baby, you do need enough insulin to be secreted in order to also be used for the baby and to like break down the glucose for them because it is two people in that sense. So if it can't carry enough, it's not able to get enough glucose into the cell, it's going to result in high blood sugars, which is really damaging to the baby and also to the mom herself.
I got to totally believe it's the damage of the baby because they're developing their organs and stuff like that. It's got to be a lifetime of
Yeah. You know, they
effects.
make jokes, and I'm allowed to say this because I have type 1. But every
Mhm.
time I tell somebody and they're like, "Do you want kids?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Did you know that your kid's gonna be giant?" And I'm like, "What?" And I remember we asked Diabetic Jess this, if you guys go back to one of the first few episodes with Jess, and
Oh, she was great.
yeah, she was awesome. And she was talking about, yeah, your baby's just a lot bigger. And I'm like, well, that'll be fun because I've always wanted a chunky baby. So I'm like, this is gonna be great.
Doesn't have to be chunky. It could be like, breeding for or her for athletics.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, "Yes, let's get my baby fat. We're gonna make her a D1
Going to be in the
athlete."
Olympics, a sumo wrestler. Totally. Well, there's also, are you finished? I don't want to step on you.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
There's also type 1.5, and this is the scariest to me because there's type 1, there's type 2. Now, type 1.5 is the worst of both worlds. It's a latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, LADA, and it is not reversible with diet and exercise like type 2 often is. It's its own thing. So we just kind of want to touch on that. Obviously, there's not a whole lot. Most diabetics are type 2.
Yeah.
So you're the freak, and type 1.5, they're really the freak. And as life goes on, there's a point, type 3.7582.
I'm like, "No, like, this is not pi. We're not talking about number pi." Like, it's just there should not be more than 5 types.
Well, we just did 4, so those are the basics right now. Now, you want to do symptoms of type 1?
All right, yes. So let's talk about some symptoms. And these are kind of overlapping. So I'm sorry, Dobie, if I'm stepping on your toes here.
Hey, you're the star. I am your limo driver. Go ahead.
I'm definitely not. But okay, symptoms here. So we have weight loss.
Mhm.
I know everybody's like, oh my God, weight loss? I don't want diabetes. No, because you kind of look emaciated and you're like, mm-mm.
You think Jenny Craig would do the diabetes diet plan, try to make some money off of it?
1000%. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think so.
And fatigue. You're like super tired. Thirsty. You're like, I'm super thirsty. Everybody's like, whoa, Samantha, maybe let's not say it like that. I'm like, no, I'm just I need a lot of water. Headache. Sorry, I say headache. Kind of weird. I know it's headache.
Headache. Does your face hurt?
Yeah, but I say headache.
No, it's killing us.
Yeah.
Heard that when I was a kid. Does your face hurt? Yeah, it's killing me. And I have a nephew at the time who was about 6. I said, does your face hurt? He goes, yeah, from looking at you. And I reached into my wallet and I gave him a $5 bill. I said, you're great. I love you as my
You're like, you're the one.
That's my nephew right there. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Back to symptoms.
No, okay. Symptoms also frequent urination. So shout out to all the teachers. If you're listening, your kids in class that say they have to constantly pee, maybe have their parents be aware that they might have diabetes. Because my teachers were definitely like, Samantha, didn't you just go? I was like, you guys don't understand. I might pee in my seat and I'm in 6th grade, so it would be too embarrassing.
I don't think you could have 6th grade depends. That would not be too cool, would it?
No. Yeah.
You're not peeing.
Hunger. That's another one. You can eat enough for a family. Dizziness, nausea, vomiting, blurry vision. That's the number one. Your eyes are just like, everything feels foggy. and it's not fun.
You know, it's really funny that those ones, what is the ones, dizzy, vomiting, what were those?
Oh, vomiting, blurry vision, nausea, and dizziness.
Those are the same symptoms that people have sometimes after they see my comedy show. I've had those symptoms reported, so maybe I have diabetic fans and I didn't know it.
Yeah, maybe you do and you don't know that. Okay, we have numb, tingling hands. That's another one. That has a lot to do with type 2, though. Type 1, you can, but it's not as common unless you're totally out of control. And then dry skin.
Now, with the tingling, is that neuropathy or is neuropathy something else?
I think, like, when I looked at it before, it's like that is neuropathy. The only difference is, like, neuropathy is consistent usually, whereas, like, the tingling, I think numb and tingling hands, like, if you definitely have that, I think it develops into it eventually if you're not taking care of it. But I've definitely had it before when, like, my blood sugars are high and my blood flow isn't doing the best.
Well, I've been told that neuropathy is painful. It's like you're stepping on needles or you're touching needles. I don't have it myself, but the people that I've had it that I've talked about said, yes, it's excruciating. On that happy note.
Yeah, or what do they call that too? Like, not nods. No. It's a word. Rod. It's like rods or neurods or something in your hands.
Sounds like, first word, playing charades.
We're playing charades.
We'll have to play charades first. Sounds like.
Do you have any other symptoms to add?
Well, no, that's funny because their symptoms, a lot of them are the same as type 2. And it's amazing because they're different, but the symptoms are the same. So then you get 1.5, it's got symptoms of both. So increased thirst, that matches yours. Frequent urination, yes. Hunger, yes. Unintended weight loss, fatigue, blurred vision, slow healing sores. Now, that was not a band that played at Lollapalooza last year, the Slow Healing Sores.
Definitely.
I think they opened up for the Foo Fighters.
I can't believe that. Lollapalooza, that's a place I want to maybe one time discover.
Well, that's been going even, I'm young enough to remember that, and I'm old. So that's amazing. The Lollapalooza.
I don't think I'm a Coachella girl.
No, how about Burning Man? Is that a big thing? I don't know if anybody's listening overseas.
No, I don't know what that is.
It's music, and all the weirdos in the vans go there and do what they do.
I don't know what that is. That's interesting.
Well, if you're listening, Google it, but come back and listen to us. Another one, frequent infections. Now, is that part of type 1?
Yes, that is. You get so many more infections.
Okay. I mean, that's got to be blood flow, I think, or blood.
It definitely is. I honestly, it's weird because it's tougher for diabetics, all types, to fight off viruses, which is also interesting.
Well, there was a virus that kind of went around the planet that people have heard of. What was it called?
Yeah, I think it's called coronavirus. COVID or something?
COVID-19.
It didn't like shut down everything or anything. Not at all.
Good thing the first 18, we got the 19th one. So that was kind of a good one. Here's another one right here. Areas of darkened skin, usually in the armpits and neck.
Huh.
I had never heard of that one before. Apparently a symptom of type 2, according to the sources that I consulted.
No, that's really interesting. I mean, yeah, I think it's crazy. There's so many and everybody has a little different experience. So I think that's something to just be really aware of. And if you aren't diabetic and you're listening and you're like, oh, wow, I felt all these. I mean, I'm sorry, but you should probably go get checked.
Yeah. And if you have darkened skin in your armpits, a bath or shower might clean that up too.
Totally.
Maybe not a diabetic.
All right. I think we should talk about treatments.
So let's do that. Okay. What are treatments for type 1 diabetes?
All right. So we are going to actually be touching base on a technological advances episode coming up soon. So I'm not going to dive too much into that realm. But for type 1, it is insulin. We love insulin.
Mm-hmm.
So you have short-acting insulin and you have long-acting insulin. And short-acting insulin means you take that for your food or a correction dose, which means if your blood sugar is 200 and you want it to get down to 120 milligrams per deciliter, then you would be like, okay, I'm going to take 1 unit to lower it from 200 to 120. So that's short-acting insulin is used for that. And then you have a 24-hour insulin. And this is a lot more common, I think, for type 2s to take than the short-acting. But the rapid or the slow-acting is the 24-hour insulin. And that you take basically to like keep you level. If you didn't have any insulin on board as a type 1, it would keep you hopefully steady.
Now, that's what I took when I was on insulin when I first was diagnosed. That's the insulin that I was on.
Mm-hmm. Type 2, yeah, is more common with the 24-hour insulin as one of their medications as well.
Uh-huh.
And then you have an insulin pump, which that is like a form, obviously it's insulin, but it's a form, like a technological device, basically, that is like an automatic delivery of insulin. And it's supposed to enhance your life. Everybody has different opinions on it. I think it's great, but I choose to do daily injections. And then also, something I think is important that people don't like to touch base on with type 1, exercise and nutrition. It is a form of treatment. And I think that's something that pisses me off, to be honest, when people are like, Oh my gosh. Like, I get it. It's obviously you have to take insulin. I am here making a clear statement. I'm not saying to not take insulin. It's not what I'm saying. But exercise and nutrition only enhances and helps management of type 1. So, yes, you should go on a 30-minute walk every day. Go listen to the benefits of walking episode from the Just My Type podcast. Nutrition, yes, you should eat healthier and not pick foods that are going to cause your blood sugars to skyrocket no matter what you do. Because it's just like, why make your health harder? But those are also treatments, in my opinion.
Well, I think your opinion is very valid because you live it.
Thank you.
I'm sure you learn stuff, but you live it. Now, treatments for type 2, similar: diet, exercise, medication, different forms of that, and insulin therapy. Now, self-care for type 2 diabetes, physical exercise, we just talked about that, weight loss. I think everybody with again, we have a lot of listeners in America. American diet is atrocious and horrible, even if you're not diabetic. So around the world, I think it's a little bit better. It's a lot better just because there are less, chemicals, preservatives, fat stuff. Quitting smoking is big. Dietary fiber. Now you're young. Do you care about fiber at your age? I'm getting to the age where I got to eat a bowl of bran flakes in the morning.
I eat so much fiber, it might be concerning because I'm plant-based.
In what form? Okay, so vegetables, leaves,
fruit, vegetables, beans, any like leafy green. Like I eat so much fiber that I think sometimes it stocks me up, if you know what I mean.
Hey, you know what? Got to clean the pipes, clean the plumbing.
I think my pipes sometimes are like, oh. Not trying to get gross here, but I'm just being honest.
It's all right.
Yeah, but I do care about fiber. I eat a lot of fiber.
Well, medications for type 2, anti-diabetic medication, statin, and insulin. And there's the pills and chills and thrills. So there's a lot of different things. Again, it's amazing to me that we're comparing notes here. There's a lot of similarities, but the type 1 and type 2 are so different. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. It definitely is crazy. There's a lot of comparisons, but a lot of differences.
We're back to basics. She is Sami Parker. My name is Dobie Maxwell. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause. We'll be right back. A lot more where that came from. Hopefully, you're getting educated because I know we are. This is Just My Type, the diabetes podcast.
Have you ever tried customizing your CGM? I'm obsessed with choosing a design that matches my mood, outfit, or even the season. That's why I love Expression Med Tape. With over 200 designs, I can choose between conversation starters, like giraffes with sunglasses, something more sophisticated like black marble, or keep it simple with a blending skin tone. If you haven't browsed through their collections yet, you must. It's like an art gallery of tapes you can wear. You know that Dexcom itch so many of us have experienced? Expression Med's tapes are so great for sensitive skin that they made an underpatch out of their material to help people who became allergic to the Dexcom adhesive. Talk about a brand you can trust, am I right? I'm actually currently wearing the Overcast tie-dye tape. It's been 3 days and the tape is looking so amazing and intact. My favorite part about these tapes is honestly that I don't even notice it's on me, and it's fashionable. Don't wait to try it out for yourself. Go to expressionmed.com and find the tape that fits you. Use JMT15 to get 15% off your first order. Go check it out now.
The Diabetes app is an online community platform that was created to help people living with diabetes find support and information in one spot.
On the Diabetes app, you can join groups and connect with other people all over the world and find tips that actually make a difference.
And now, while you're using the app, you can collect points and earn rewards.
Wait, you're confusing me. What do you mean?
What I mean is the Diabetes app now gives you points anytime you like, comment, or post. You can collect these points and exchange them for rewards. We're talking promo codes, accessories, and more free gifts.
Whoa, I like the sound of that. So you're saying I can earn free rewards just for doing what I already do?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Keep using the Diabetes app, connect with others, find tips, and get rewarded for doing so. Back we are. We're glad you are too. This is Just My Type. She is Sami Parker. My name is Dobie Maxwell. Sami, we have a segment today.
Yes.
And we like to do those in occasional episodes. This is a good one today.
Yes, the segment is going to be how to support somebody with diabetes, because I think that's super, super important and that everybody has a common awareness on how to try to support them.
Well, I came up with 7 ways to support someone living with diabetes. Could be 6, could be 8. I picked 7
Let's hear 'em.
because it's good luck, and you make your professional commentary. Number 1, and I put this one because I think it's the most important. Do not nag someone with type 1, type 2, gestational, or 1.5. Don't be a nag.
1000% agree. 1000%.
I get that so are you going to eat that? And it's that voice.
It's like, I don't need another parent, but thank you.
Can I please see your medical degree before? And if not, shut your pie hole. And I mean that in a friendly,
Yep.
in a customer service kind of a way. Okay. Number 2, encourage healthy eating. Now, there's a way to do that without nagging. Encourage healthy eating.
Yes, I agree. Being aware, like, hey, are you able to eat at this restaurant? Just want to make sure that you're able to, treat yourself the best that you can.
Number 3, attend a diabetes support group with the diabetic.
Diabetes Instagram or the Just My Type, the diabetes podcast. Listen to it. Join me and Dobie. We love sharing and talking with you guys.
Again, education is one thing. And if you love a diabetic, listen to us. We'll give you some inside scoop. So that's a good thing. Number 4, offer to attend doctor appointments. Now, I don't know if that's going to be always comforting, but have you ever had it? I mean, have your parents took you to doctor appointments?
Yes, and I think my best friend Kendall, I'm pretty sure she came. I don't even know. Okay, regardless, it doesn't matter what it was. She came to a doctor's with me before any doctors, and I was just like, yes, I have my BFF in here with me.
Well, it's support group because it can be so overwhelming. We talked about this in our prep meeting with the Pod Squad.
Yeah,
Elizabeth, our producer, is so organized, and she comes up with such great stuff. We can't pack it all in all the time, but basically the term, they just gave you a pamphlet after your diagnosis to say, okay, go figure it out. So what we're trying to do is give you the nuts and bolts to try to figure it out. And I have it for how many years now? I still don't know things. That's why I'm glad I learned when
totally.
we have guests on, listen to all our guests, go back and listen to episodes because there's so many good guests on there. I'm thinking,
Yep.
ooh, there's one thing I learned. I didn't know that before. Okay. Number 5, be observant to drops in blood sugar. Now, sometimes that can be, they'll take the measurement, but sometimes you can just tell by their physicality. Now, can your parents tell when you have a lower high sugars just by how you act?
1000%. Sometimes if I don't have a high blood sugar and they're like, we're really going to hope you have a high blood sugar right now because you are not being very nice. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's like a little elevated. It's like 145.
You can play the D card.
Yeah, but they definitely can
You
tell.
can play the D card too. That's another episode you want to listen to. But we like to do, oh, mom, dad, I don't want to eat this because
Yes. Yes.
All right, number 6, exercise together. Now, this has got a couple of. I had a lady friend when I got my diagnosis, and she offered to go on walks with me, and it was fun at first but we got to spend some time together.
Yeah.
But then we would start having arguments in the middle of the walk, and it's like, why are you bringing this up now? This is life or death. I was afraid at the time because I had no idea what to expect in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to walk right now. Why are you getting my heart beating and I want to strangle you?
Totally.
So just shut your mouth and walk. But yeah, that's a good one. Exercise together.
I think that's a great one. This is hilarious, but when I was like away from Malibu for a little bit, which is where Pepperdine is and where I went to college, and everybody though would be like, hey, Sammy, when are you going to come down? We can go for a walk. Because they know I like love walking. And I was like, this is kind of embarrassing that people only want to ask me to walk.
Now, how often do you say you walk?
To be honest, if I don't go to the gym, then I'm walking.
So it's every day.
But I walk at the gym too. But I'm like, if I'm not at the gym, then that day is a walk day.
Now, when I first got diagnosed, I walked 7 days a week because I was afraid and I was uneducated and no one else in my family had it. So I'm thinking, well, if I don't walk 7 days a week, 102 miles a day
Yeah.
or kilometers, depending on where you're living,
Yeah.
I'm going to die.
Totally.
And it was overreacting, but it was good in that I felt better. And now, since we started the show, I've been up to that level again, walking 7 days a week. And I do feel better. I sleep better. I drink more water. I find myself more attentive. So exercise together. You, if you're not diabetic yourself, will gain health benefits.
Oh, not even a question. Literally not even a question.
Whether you want them or not.
Yeah.
So the 7th one in our ways to support someone with diabetes, be positive.
Yes.
Focus on what is good, not what is bad. If you don't change you're going to lose your limbs. How many times do people are threatening? It's like, oh my God, it's dark enough. Be positive, please.
It's like, be positive, be supportive, be encouraging. Just be like be their cheerleader.
Yes. That's a good thing.
But yeah, I think Dobie, those are great ways. I'm very impressed. I'm learning a lot from you. Those are really good ways.
I live to impress you first and then our listeners. Because if you're impressed, our listeners are impressed.
Well, I'm impressed by you. So our listeners must be impressed too.
Sami, once again, as always, our episode just flew by.
It goes by really quickly. As much as I love having guests, I also just like being able to have me and you on here too.
Shooting the breeze, baby. Like we're texting. My thumbs are sore from texting. It's much easier just to talk about it. And please, if you're here for the first time, we love to have you. Tell your friends about it. We have a lot of other episodes. How can people find us, Sami?
Okay, so you can go on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at JustMyTypePod _ Facebook at JustMyTypePod and hashtag JustMyTypePod. And in order to answer the question of the pod, you can comment.
I almost forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you can comment though on all of our social media or answer us there. But first, Dobie, what is the question of the pod?
The question of the pod is, do you have diabetes? If so, what kind? You don't have to have diabetes to listen to us, but if you do, what kind of diabetes do you have? That's our question in the pod today.
Yeah, type 1, type 2, type 3, type 1.5, or gestational. All of the above.
Let us know, and we appreciate you. Shout outs aplenty. We have Sharon Courier is listening today in Arizona.
Awesome.
She is a recently diagnosed type 2, and I talked to her about it. She said, I'm going to listen to your podcast, and she is listening today. And thank you all for listening. So we're going to put the cherry on the sundae. We'll be back again. Sami, do your thing, baby.
Also, please rate, review, subscribe. And if you would love to hear more, please give us a 5-star review. We'd love to hear it. But I'm going to finish it with, say la vie, baby.
This is the Just My Type podcast.